gun coming up and the carts roll in. Ammo cans loaded in the squads check in. Shotgun caddies hanging off the belt. Everybody knows exactly how this feels.
Walk the stage, build the plan, count your rounds before it all begins. One mistake can cost your day, so every move matters before you ever play.
Rifle flagged and pointed high, pistol holstered at your side.
Shotgun waiting for its turn, 3 different tools and a lot to learn.
Make ready! Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Stand by!
3 guns, 1 run.
Everything happens under the sun.
Rifle, pistol, shotgun, smoke.
1 missed target and the leg gets broke.
3 guns, 1 run. 3 guns, 1 run.
Move fast but don't come undone.
Every second on the clock, every hit has got to rock. 3 guns, 1 run.
Rifle first and the target stretch, 300 yards across the edge. Wind is pushing left to right, better read that flag before you light. Magnified glass in a steady hold, break a shot before the condition folds. Steel rings back and the crowd knows you hit your mark when the long gun goes. Glove box loaded, shell stack high, bird shot flying through the sky. Steel poppers falling 1 by 1, nothing in the sport is quite this fun. Low 2, low 4, stuff and go, keep feeding rounds while you're on the move. Miss a plate and you're losing time. Shotgun stage, just punish every crime. Now the handgun comes alive, close range targets left and right. Draw smooth and let it run, fast transitions under the sun. A-zone hits and sights that track, no time now to look back. Push the pace but stay in control, speed means nothing if you lose the goal.
Shotgun grounded, move and go. Rifle up before momentum slows. Safety on and muzzle right. Every transition has to be tight. Pistol comes out, rifle goes down. Nobody's stopping now. 3 different systems in one stage plan. That's what separates the field from the man.
Heart rate high but your focus stays, working through another maze. Stealing paper everywhere,
Only one thing matters there. Not the gear and not the hype, not the optic or the sight. It's what happens when the timer sounds and your trainer finally comes
Unload and go clear. Good morning. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. My name's Tim. I'm going to be running through an intro to 3-gun for you guys today. What we did initially was the stage setup. Like I said, it's all volunteer work, so we appreciate the help setting up before the matches and tear down after the matches. It's also a benefit to the people that help set up, that they get a little bit of an overview of the stages before they actually shoot them. So if it's an advantage or not, that's up to you. What we're going to cover today is mainly going to be, in the theory part of it, is going to be the safety aspect of things, the hardware or the equipment, the competitor, and then some of the ammo that you're allowed and not allowed to use. Mainly going to be focusing on the safety and the rules. If there's any questions, small group, guys, don't hesitate. Raise your hand or just reach out. Let me get to the right section. So in the agenda I sent you guys, there is a link to the USPSA multi-gun rules. First thing we're going to talk about is the competitor equipment. This is multi-gun or 3-gun. So you are going to be shooting 3 different guns at different times, never at the same time. So we're going to go through what kind of typical equipment you're going to need for this type of competition. Pretty straightforward. First is the firearm. So typically we're going to look at handguns to start with. Most people are using semi-autos, but we do have some people shooting revolvers. It doesn't really matter. 9mm is the minimum caliber. 357, 38 is going to be the minimum for the revolvers. There are no shoulder stocks allowed on handguns. Long gun is considered a rifle or a shotgun. As I mentioned, minimum cartridge is handguns is 9mm. There's a couple of different things we're talking about for sights now. So open sights. Everybody knows what open sights are. You've got the 1-post and the 2-post rifle or shotgun or handgun. Optical or electronic sights, anything that's has a optic, glass, or electronic, so red dots. So a magnified red dot or a non-magnified red dot would be considered an optical sight. It is up to the range master and or match director to determine what is acceptable. If you come with some new gun, maybe hasn't been listed yet or something like that, it'd be up to those people to determine if the eligibility of that firearm to be used. Okay. So couple of things: trigger shoes that extend past the normal size of the trigger are not allowed. That's pretty common in most competitive shooting sports. Standard triggers, you can replace the trigger on the firearms, but they can't have shoes on them, which make them a lot wider. They must be serviceable. If a range officer determines that there's something wrong with the firearm, that it's not working properly, they can ask you to remove it or change guns. Competitors must use the same firearm and sighting system throughout the match. So if you start with a specific rifle with a specific sight, you must continue the entire match with that. The exceptions are if something happens to that, you can ask the range officer, very important before you change a firearm and you start using a different one, you can ask the range master or match director saying, hey, it broke, I'm borrowing my buddies, it's in the same division. They'll look at it and they'll say you're good to go. Okay, it happens all the time, but it's across the board for pistol, rifle, or shotgun. This is multi-gun, so you may have more than one gun on you at one time. You may have your pistol in the holster and you may be carrying a long gun. This is a multi-gun competition, so you're allowed to do that. Obviously any full auto is not permitted. Burst type, it's single shot. One pull equals one bang on any of the firearms that you're looking at. Okay. Pretty straightforward firearms. Like I said, this is not an intro to firearms, so everybody should be somewhat familiar with their firearms. And I don't know if anybody's shot other competitions or not. Larry runs IDPA, and there's USPSA here and stuff like that. So I encourage you guys to get out there and do that. Okay, so that was the firearms. Now we're going to talk about how you carry them on you and the equipment. As we mentioned, there is a safety area, clearly marked. That is the only time you're allowed to handle your firearms, any firearm, unless you are up and the range officer, safety officer has instructed you to go ahead and load or make ready or something like that, okay? If you're walking around, your firearm's here, don't pull it out, okay? It must stay holstered, or you can manipulate it at the safety area. The safety area, there is no ammunition, there's no dummy rounds, empty shells, nothing. So make sure when you're there, you don't have a mag and put it down on the table accidentally. They can be on your belt, in pockets, whatever, but they cannot touch the table when you're there, okay? Something a lot of people sometimes miss is shotgun. You may have shells on the buttstock. If you put that down, that's the same thing. They are now on the safety table, okay? So make sure if you've got, some of those match saver ones, there's one still left, don't put that shotgun down until it's completely empty, okay? So when you're carrying your pistol in your holster, you can have it on you at all times. It is empty and there's no magazine in it. If the range officer sees that there's a magazine in it, they will take you over to the safety table. Make sure you take that magazine out. We don't want any loaded magazines in there as well. That is something that's kind of important. So if you're wearing it on you, it must be empty and have no magazine inserted. Okay, talking about the holster. Normally you're wearing the holster at belt level. We do allow here drop leg because there can be a lot of gear on, right? So it does get it out. It's your preference. It's not in my opinion, it's not a benefit. It's not because it's way down here. It's not at the hip where everything is. Sometimes you just can't fit it depending on the size of your waist or the amount of gear that you're wearing. So the holster, go ahead.
Just to clarify, on the safety table, can you have loaded magazines on your person?
You can. You cannot manipulate them.
Just don't touch them.
And don't leave them on the table or put them on the table. So if you're coming back and you've got a half-empty mag, don't stick it on the table. Make sure. That's critical. And as I mentioned at the beginning, when you're coming to the match or to this particular bay or this stage, very important also watch what you're doing at the safety table, right?
So you can have the mags loaded and everything on. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As long as they don't touch the safety table, you're not manipulating them while you're at the safety table. So don't have the gun there and then start playing with your mags. Okay. It's like a yard or something like that. It's just don't bring any ammo, don't touch any ammo anywhere near the safety table. Is that all right?
Remember, right? There's multiple safety tables, so that in between your stages, the range officer will tell you can get your firearms and take them to the next.
That's typically up to the competitor. The range officer is really responsible for the range, and he's responsible for things that happen during specific commands that they use. After that, if you're coming out of your car, he's not watching everybody, right? So it's up to the competitors to make sure that they're following the rules. That's why I said when you come, make sure you talk to, you've never been to the match before, never been to the range before. They might have different rules because sometimes club rules can take precedence over the listed rules, right? If they have a specific berm angle or something like that. So make sure that you talk to somebody if it's a new club, a new range to you, just to make sure, where do I go, where do I put these before you start, right? So there's no cross draw holsters in this sport. You're not supposed to sweep yourself, and it's just dangerous for this type of sport, okay? It must completely cover the trigger guard, the whole trigger assembly, right? So any standard holster out there, the plastic ones, Kydex, whatever, they all do that. Some of the race ones, you got to be careful with, depending on the division. I know in IDPA, certain divisions, you can't have race holsters or something like that. So just make sure you understand the division that you're in and what holsters you can have. Right, so we talked about handguns, long guns, shotgun rifle, same thing. As we just mentioned, when you're taking them out of the car, you must have the safety flag in it. If you don't have a safety flag, it must be in the bag. Take the bag over to the safety table, out of the safety table, then you can put a safety flag. If you didn't have one, borrow one from the club or something like that, okay? So it's just make sure that you understand what the rules are. I'm going to talk a little bit about a preloading station. We don't use that here. Some of the stages are just too small, but in some matches, they will preload shotguns at a separate table, perhaps right there, so that when they may preload everybody, all shotguns. There's 10 of us, one range officer, load and make ready. All 10 shotguns are loaded. The tubes are loaded. There's nothing chambered. That sometimes speeds up because that is a long process sometimes, so it can speed up a little things. We don't do that here. I'm just not all that comfortable with it because you could mess up the safety table versus the staging area and put your shotgun there, you get disqualified. So we do not have shotgun preloading stage sections here or areas here, but they do have them. I've shot matches that they do have them. They line everybody up, you load all your shotguns and leave them there. When it's your turn, you go grab your shotgun, and only when you get to the line and it's your turn do you put one in the chamber, and then you go. So we don't do that here, but it does happen. So in certain cases, you may find a match that will do that. Only under the supervision of the RO or the safety officer. Okay, never do it by yourself. Make sure that there is a range officer or safety officer there, and he says, make ready or load and make ready, or he or she. Excuse me. Okay, so carts. Let's look at that one for example. It's not really a cart, but a lot of people have carts, especially at a range that's big. This is pretty small, so I can carry but if you've got a place to go that's half a mile or something like that, some of these big ranges are big. you could have a cart. Typically, the muzzles must point down at the ground to a maximum of 3 feet around the conveyance, is what they call it, right? In certain cases, you can point them up. I'm just against that. I always have them pointed down. It's
So
just
you put it in like this, barrel down.
correct,
Here.
and that's fine. Now, be careful because many ranges will make sure that when you're putting it in, you're facing the berm. So don't grab your shotgun and walk over here and put it in here, sweeping a whole bunch of people. Most places will make you do that at the berm. So that's right next to the berm. You take off your long gun, stick it in your cart, pointing to the berm. Everybody's happy. Okay, just something to be concerned about. But in a big range, they're $100 sometimes, and they're worth it. People, you can buy them like $500-600 or something crazy like that, or you get one of those old jogging strollers, put a couple of U-bolts on it, and you're good to go, kind of thing. So you don't have to spend a fortune.
Yeah, and you can get U-bolts that can clamp on right here. That's what I might do. Or you can get a bunch of PVC at Home Depot and rig up your own, which is, our buddy Dan did that. And so that way you just rest your... the issue I have with mine is it's in here, it starts to rattle, and all of a sudden the shotgun's doing this and starting to walk out
Or
of the
they
cart.
scrape against each other, you know.
Yeah.
Paid a lot of money for them.
You can come up with
beat 'em up.
some type of rig to keep it, especially if you go into larger matches and you go into sometimes it's a quarter-mile walk to go to the next stage. So sometimes it's just easier to have that all done.
Yeah.
How much was that one? Like about $100?
Yeah.
Costco was that.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're
Another
not bad.
recommendation on if you're getting one of those carts, get big wheels. The little ones tend to get stuck in muck and gravel and sand. So you just want wider wheels.
More beach cart.
Yeah, beach carts. Little.
Obviously, eye and ear protection is mandatory. In some cases, the range officer, safety officer may yell, range is going hot, which means we're about to load and start. It's not a requirement, so it's up to you to make sure you've got your eyes and ears on at all times. If you're running through a course of fire and something falls off, ears, eyes, stop. Do not continue shooting. You will get a reshoot. If you ran past a post or something and it knocked your hearing protection off, just stop. Or your glasses fell off, whatever, just stop and explain to the range officer. The range officer will probably see that and stop. You'll get a reshoot. Never continue if something falls off, okay? Okay, we're going to talk about some ammunition. So unless there's something specified, all of the ammunition must be carried on you. No specific spot. People have chest rigs, belts, thigh holders, whatever, pouches, whatever it has. But you have to carry all of your ammunition on you. You will not have ammunition staged throughout, so make sure that you understand the round count of the stage. You need 30 rifle, make sure you've got 30 rifle plus a couple extra. Wouldn't hurt. Same thing for shotgun or whatever, right? So make sure that you've got enough space for all the ammunition that's required for that specific stage. Some are long, some are shorter. So unless specified, you can't have, your magazine in your hand, one on the table in front of you, something like that. In certain cases, maybe the stage design demands you put all your mags over here or whatever, but normally when you're starting, everything is on your body and nothing's in your hands.
If you drop a mag because it's empty, do you have to pick it up then, or can you go back?
No. So I'll explain my opinion of this sport. It's a sport, it's tennis. Nothing's shooting back. It's not a defensive course. There are plenty of those, and please, take some of those courses if that's what you're looking for. This is for me, it's just a sport. So if you drop a mag, you can pick it up, you can leave it, whatever you want. If you do pick it up, we'll go through some of the safety procedures in terms of how to handle manipulating your firearms when you're on the stage. But yeah, you can certainly pick it up, leave it there, put it back in your pouch, whatever it is, as long as you do it safely. Typically that's muzzle down range and fingers off the trigger, but yes.
Tim might have mentioned this, but this is part of the USPSA. So USPSA does not give a penalty for leaving a loaded magazine on the ground behind you.
Correct.
IDPA does.
Correct.
Because it's defensive pistols.
It's a defensive, yeah,
You wouldn't
exactly.
leave something if you were in a firefight. You don't want to leave ammo behind you. Like Tim said, this is more focused on the sport, speed, whatever. You drop a magazine, hopefully you have more.
If you don't have more, you want to pick
Yeah,
it
you
up.
might wanna
But
pick it
you
up.
can absolutely pick it up and use it again.
But as we've talked about in other things, just watch that. You know, you drop a magazine, you go to get it, you have your pistol, and all of a sudden you're flagging your hand. You don't want to do that. A lot of times it's better to probably just leave that if you think you don't need it.
It says right here that, you know, everything is in the rules. There's really not much that's ambiguous. It definitely says dropped or discarded may be retrieved. However, their retrieval is at all times subject to the safety rules. So what we don't allow here, and it is forbidden, are any metal piercing, steel, incendiary, whatever. For us, it's because of the steel, right? Steel on steel, like a steel round at a steel target, it's not good. So we only allow here, and I put it in the little notes that I put for you guys, is lead. Everything is lead. Copper jackets, no problem, but everything is lead core. Okay, the steel, the case can be steel, right? Some of the military surplus stuff you find is the case can be, but as long as the bullet tip is lead, we're good. The easiest thing,
$5 on Amazon doesn't grab.
if it doesn't stick the tip of the bullet, you're good to go. You'll see the bullet will go boop, like that, right?
Yeah, I don't think I have any here.
I don't, but they can be cheaper. Just be careful. Make sure you understand what you're buying for what you're looking to do. We'll talk about some divisions after, but magazine capacities and lengths are sometimes determined by the division that you're shooting in, and that is true for other sports as well. USPSA and IDPA depends on the division that you're shooting in for that specific. Okay, I don't know that it talks about a squib blow. We'll talk about it quickly here, but if anybody reloads, they may have had, I've had it in factory ammo too, a squib blow where basically it goes pop, so the primer pops, but the powder for some reason doesn't get ignited, and the bullet may go halfway down the barrel, may not go anywhere or whatever. You can normally tell it's quite a distinct pop. That is an automatic reshoot. However, if the RO hears it or if you hear it, the RO should call it if they're close enough to hear it, right? If they're not, it's up to you. If you do stop yourself though, and it's not a squib, you will not be allowed to reshoot the stage, right? If the RO stops you, if it is or is not a squib, it's an automatic reshoot anyway. But it's your gun, it's your hands. If you hear a pop and you didn't feel the recoil, it could potentially have been a squib blow. I don't know if anybody's ever had one. I've had far too many reloading.
The president of our club, Scott Chapman, blew up a $3,000 handgun because he shoots very quickly. One went down the barrel halfway, pulled the trigger again, and he made his nice slide into a.
It will explode, and you know it's not a good thing. I've never had it explode on me, but I've had squib blows before. Oh, firearm ready conditions. So we're going to talk about firearm ready conditions and competitor ready conditions. Firearm ready condition is what condition must the firearm be in when you're ready to shoot before the beep happens, right? I won't cover revolvers right now, but it's pretty straightforward. And for a pistol, if the stage calls for it to be loaded and chambered, if it has a manual safety, it must be engaged. I shoot a Glock, it does not have a manual safety, therefore I don't need to engage it. If it's a double action CZ or CZ or whatever that has the hammer, and it has a manual safety, it must be engaged, right? That is a pistol ready condition in normal circumstances, depending on what the stage briefing describes. Sometimes they may say completely unloaded or whatever, but the normal starting or firearm ready condition for a handgun is the magazine is inserted and is chambered with safeties engaged if it has one. Okay? So the long guns are the same. They're loaded slightly differently, but rifle, magazine inserted, assuming it's a semi-auto, it can be chambered and then safety engaged. Pretty much all rifles are going to have some type of manual safety, must be engaged. Same thing with a shotgun. Let's say it's a tube, pump, whatever it is, up to the division. Again, like as with handguns, the magazine may have a restriction. In shotgun, there are restrictions in how many you can put into the gun before the start command, right? So firearm ready condition of the shotgun is magazine, tube full, chambered, and then safety engaged. Okay, pretty straightforward. That's how they always are, unless the stage briefing describes something different. Maybe the rifle is unloaded for whatever reason, however they want to get fancy with the stage description. But that will be read to you, and I'll show you an example of what a stage description looks like, and that's when you'll be able to understand what the stage is all about, how many rounds there are, the different shooting positions, etc., and you'll be able to ask your questions well before it's your turn to start. Okay, there are no surprises here. There's nothing hidden. Everything is out there in the open. You can ask as many questions as you want.
And we're at tier 1, so all the ROs are here to also help you and answer questions. Literally, it'll be like, yeah, we'll hold your chamber flags for you. We'll carry out a box of shells, whatever you need for you guys to load and get ready in a safe manner. So we're here to walk you through that. We also, I think it's the same with USPSA, I know it is with IDPA, we can also quote unquote coach you, so we can say things to you to give you, and especially today obviously we're going to say, hey, don't forget this or do that, but in general don't think like you have to do everything yourself. You can ask for a little help. Hey, can you hold this or whatever. We in general will probably just reach out here and give me that because we want to help you through the stage, but you don't have to. Chamber flags, usually most times the RO will hold on to them for you, then hand them back to you when you're done, but they're to help.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. The range officer, safety officer is here to help you. There may be some nervousness at the beginning, the first couple of matches or whatever, that's understandable, but they are there to help you. They are not there to make your life difficult.
Well, that goes away after the first couple of matches?
You know, first couple of 100. But don't hesitate to ask a question. If you're new and you're halfway through, can I do that? Go ahead. Like, you'd rather be safe and do it properly versus not asking the stupid question and then getting disqualified because you were doing something, right? There's not a stupid question, especially when you're starting out. Don't hesitate to stop halfway. If you are unsure of what to do and it's a safety issue, please just stop, ask the safety officer, range officer. They will help you, they will explain. And as Larry mentioned, they will sometimes say things. It's not required, but if you're going to step over the line, or if you're going to go around the wrong area or something like that, they will say, no, you got to go that way, or something to that effect, okay? Like he said, and I said, they're there to help, and they're going to give you certain instructions sometimes that are strictly for safety, right? If you're doing something or you're about to do something that could cause a problem, they're going to go ahead and give you some instruction, and I'll explain a bit more about that as we get going as well. All right, competitor ready condition. It's pretty straightforward. It's usually going to be specified in the stage description or the stage briefing. You know, you're starting when you're 2 feet on these X's or something. It's going to be very straightforward. It's going to explain how if you're starting with a long gun, how it's going to be held, or if you're starting with a pistol, whatever. It's going to be very well explained. Normal rule of thumb in most shooting disciplines is if you're starting with a handgun, you're facing downrange with your hands relaxed at your sides. That's a normal competitor ready condition. They will say, are you ready? Stand by, and then the beep, right? In certain cases, you may have to put your hands on a wall, whatever, but it will be very, very detailed and explained to you in the stage description or stage briefing. Okay, so a couple of things. Course of fire will never require you to reholster, and it will never require you to draw with a weak hand. In certain cases, you may choose to use your weak hand if there's a barricade or something to go around. It's easier if you can do that. I can't shoot my left hand to save my life, but in certain cases, you can go ahead and do that. This is freestyle. Very rarely will you get a stage in 3-gun where it says you must use your right hand or your weak hand or strong hand or whatever. I don't do that. It may happen. This is freestyle. You shoot as comfortably as you want. Certain stage designs may force you to do certain things because you can't get around, but that's up to the stage design. But you'll never, so you'll never be forced to reholster during a, you'll never be told to, and you'll never be told to start with the weak hand or draw with the weak hand. That's just, or rifles as well. On that point, it is not against the rules to reholster during match. If for some reason you were shooting and it was 100 yards and you didn't want to do that, you could holster and go. The firearm must be in the ready condition. So it must be in the same condition as when you pulled it out, which is if it had a safety, it must be safety, whatever. The only time it doesn't have to have a safety on is if it's empty. If you finished shooting, mag's out, you could reholster and run to the next stage. In all the stage designs, there's always a place to put all of the firearms once you're done. So you will see here when we shoot the pistol, there is a place to drop your pistol and go. I prefer to get rid of it, less weight, less chance for it to fall out when I'm running. That's my personal opinion, but others might have other opinions, and that's totally fine. Okay, so there is, in certain cases, there are matches that do have slings. We don't run slings here. Never seen the advantage specifically in some of these smaller stages, right? But other ones, you could see a match that would have a slung rifle. Typically, you're not going to sling your shotgun, right? It's typically going to be unloaded when it's slung. You may be shooting with the pistol. Once it's done, then you could take the rifle and load it and go. We don't run slung rifles here, but you may see that. And if you do, maybe ask the RO just a little top up of what their rules are for that before you start. Okay, so we went through the firearms, typically 3 types of firearms: pistol, rifle, shotgun. Went through the equipment. The main thing is going to be the holster, right? There are rules on a holster. It must securely hold the pistol, and it must cover the trigger guard completely, and for all cases. I will point out that it's very important if you're doing another division, or I should say other shooting discipline. This one you do run with, it could be a loaded handgun. So you want to make sure that if your holster is not quite tight enough, make sure that it's tight, because anytime you drop a firearm during the course of fire, it's an automatic disqualification. Okay, so if it's not quite tight enough, make it tight. I run one with a thumb safety on it. That's just me. But I've run the regular, Blackhawk plastic, and you just crank them up. It's a little tighter, okay, but it's not going to fall out as you're running down. It happens all the time. It really sucks. I've had 2 friends, Craig here, and another buddy of mine, Kevin. Just, it's like, oh, and who was it? Was it Max? Max
Yes.
here.
The most common DQs that we see here are that at least once a year somebody's running and they're just their hand grabs it, and all of a sudden the gun's on the ground, and breaking the 180 are probably the 2 most common reasons for DQ.
Yeah, we'll get into all of those in a lot of detail. Okay, so the next thing are going to be the range communications, the range commands. Very, very, very important. There's a few of them. There's not many, but the sequence is kind of important, and what they start or what they finish is kind of important as well. So the first one is, it's your turn. There's a list of shooters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5, you're up. The RO will escort you, get your stuff, go down. If it has to be loaded, staged, whatever. Then once everything is set on the stage, then they will give you the commands of make ready or load and make ready. Really depends on where you are and who's saying it. But so you're walking down with your shotgun, they will say load and make ready or make ready. You load your shotgun to capacity, safety engaged, and for this course, this stage, you would leave it right there. And you would walk to the rifle, pick it up. They would say the same command, load and make ready or make ready. You would then load, chamber the rifle, safety's engaged, and let's say that rifle then gets put onto some table or some start position. Then you would go back to where the pistol, load and make ready or make ready, same thing. Then you would load. So in this case, you're going to get that command 3 times. In other disciplines, you may only get it once, IDPA or USPSA, but you will get it 3 times in this. So that, it also signifies the start of the course of fire. This is when anything you do can get you disqualified. Before that, you can walk around, you can do whatever, it doesn't matter, as long as you're not touching your firearms other than the safety table, okay? But this starts that course of fire. So this is then you are responsible for what's going on with your equipment on this stage. Okay, so typically when you hear the load and make ready, once you've done that, then you get to your competitor ready condition that we talked about. Whatever it said in the stage briefing, if it said stand on these X's or whatever, if it didn't have anything, the standard is facing down range, arms relaxed at your sides. That's it, okay? Yeah, so they're talking about the different make ready. Okay, so once the range officer, safety officer sees that, okay, I'm done, they will say, are you ready? That is the time that you either say nothing, which is an acknowledgement, or you say no, or not ready. No. Maybe you're not ready, you tying your shoe, or whatever it happens to be, right? That is the time that you, if you're not ready, you say something. Because if you don't say something, they will continue, right? So, first is make ready or load and make ready. You're getting all your guns loaded. And then when you're ready, you go to that competitor ready condition. Are you ready? That's what the RO or safety officer will ask you. If you are ready, you don't have to say anything. You can say yes if you want, but you don't have to say anything. If you don't say anything, it is deemed you are ready. So if you're not ready, make sure to say, I'm not ready, my glasses, or whatever it happens to be, right? Okay, so are you ready? You don't say anything. Stand by. And then after the standby, usually between 1 and 4 seconds is the kind of the normal, you will get a beep.
Is it on?
It's on. It's on now.
Just press once.
It's on now. It's loud now, but with your protection on, it's not. So that's the beep. That is the only time you can move, draw, do whatever, right? So make ready, load and make ready. You're doing all of your stuff. You're getting to the competitor ready position. Then it's, are you ready? The RO or safety officer does not hear you say anything. They'll continue. Stand by. Then after that standby, typically 1 to 4 seconds, but don't sometimes it's longer, who knows? There'll be that beep. Okay, that is when you can move, draw, move, whatever happens to be, begin your course of fire. Okay? One command that you always must listen to is stop. If another range officer yells stop, there is a reason, and you must stop. Stop! Just stop. Handgun down range, wait. Don't do anything, just wait. Long gun, whatever it is, you stop. There is something wrong. Might not be you. Somebody's crawling over the top of the berm, something like that. Something has fallen over. A target has fallen over. Something's happened that they're asking you to stop. But that is a requirement. You must stop. If you don't stop, it could lead to some issues down the road. So stop is the one command. is a command that you must listen to, right? All the ones you can listen to. But the stop is something that you must stop, okay? They'll yell it pretty loud. It might have been something that you've done. It might have been a range issue. It might have been it's definitely a safety issue, right? Okay.
To that end, also, anybody on the range can yell stop. We've had cats, turkeys, deer come over the top of the berm. Obviously, we probably want to stop. So if you saw that, you'd yell stop, and then, like we said, stop. Most times when you hear stop, it's not because you did something wrong. It's because there's something else going on. But you can also do like I did, dumbass, turn around and look, there's an RO standing right there, and my gun's pointed at them. And he yelled stop, and I get to go home. So, but in general, if you sell stop, don't unload, like Tim says, just don't
stop.
move.
Right? Muzzle down range, stop. Right? You're running like this, stop, down range. There's some issue that they're stopping you for. It's very, very important. Okay, so we've gone through load and make ready or make ready. That's when you get everything's loaded and you go into the competitor ready condition. Your firearms are now in the firearm ready condition. You're in the competitor ready condition. Are you ready? If you don't say anything, stand by. That beep, beep, then you can go. I start my shooting, whatever it happens to be. I start with a long gun, whatever it happens to be, you can go. You continue through the course of the fire. When you're done, when you feel you're done, you stop, right? You're at the end, you've shot all the targets, then you just stop. The RO's pretty comfortable with the stage, he understands what's going on, he sees you stop, then he'll say, if you're finished, unload and show clear. If you're finished. You shot everything, you would then unload and show clear. So, let's say I've got the pistol. Magazine first. Always take the magazine out first. Anything chambered, get rid of it. Then what you want to do is you hold the slide open so the RO can see clear. He'll say, if you're finished, unload and show clear. Then if the RO looks at it, he sees it's clear, he'll say, if clear, hammer down and holster. If clear. It is your responsibility, not just theirs, to make sure that it is clear, right? Because you will still get disqualified even if he says clear. If clear, hammer down and holster. So, pistol, you must pull the trigger. They want to hear that clink, then you can holster. So you must pull the trigger. Hammer down and holster, like that. If it's a long gun, they'll say, if you're finished, unload and show clear. Shotgun. You got too many in the tube. Show them. They want to look at the follower, and they want to look in the chamber. Nothing there. They'll say, if clear, hammer down. Same thing. You must pull the trigger. Please. Downrange. Long gun at the ground. Pull the trigger. Then it will say, he'll say flag instead of holster, because then you open it, she'll pass you back your flag, put the flag in, close the chamber, good to go for that one. Same thing with the rifle, same thing. If you're finished, unload and show clear. Take out the magazine, and then hold it open so they can see into the chamber. If clear, hammer down, let it go, pull the trigger, flag. Up, flag in, close, off you go. There'll be people around to help you. You don't have to carry all your guns. Somebody will come up. And once you're finished that, you can pass it off to somebody, the RO or whatever, and they'll take it over to the safety area. Okay? So, let's go through them one more time, because these are the only commands that you really need to understand. Load and make ready or make ready. I'm going to put my firearms into their ready condition, and I'm going to get into my ready condition. If there's 3 shooting positions with 3 different guns, you'll hear that 3 times. The RO will walk you around to each of those stages, make you load. Once you're loaded, they will then say, are you ready? As I mentioned, if there's no response, that's deemed to be accepted, moving forward. They will say stand by, and then beep. Typically between that 1 and 4 seconds. Some people are quick, and some people are a bit longer. If you don't hear the beep for some reason, they'll just do it again, right? Some people like myself don't hear so good, or you forgot to turn your mic on your earphones. They'll start you again. Right? Are you ready? Stand by. Beep. That is the only time you can draw, move, step forward, whatever it happens to be. You must stay still until that beep. If you're like this before the beep, they'll say stop, restart you again. If you keep doing that, you will get a penalty, procedural penalty. Okay? So, those are the range commands. Load and make ready or make ready, depending on the stage, depending on several factors. Are you ready? Stand by, beep. When you're done, if you are finished, unload and show clear. If you're not finished, I'm not finished. Keep going. You're fine. They are asking you because you've made some type of indication that looks like you're finished. You just kind of stood there or stopped. They will not help you if you've missed targets. They'll not say, hey, you forgot that one. That's not the type of coaching that they're going to give you. If you forgot targets, you forgot targets. It's up to you. If you're finished, unload and show clear. You must magazine out, empty the chamber, show an open chamber for whatever type of firearm it is to the RO. They will say, if clear, hammer down. If it's a pistol, holster. If it's a long gun, hammer down. If clear, hammer down and flag. So when you're loading, you can hand your flag to the RO, and when you're done, they'll just hand them back for you to put them in there. Okay?
An important point, if you notice this timer, since we started it, it's still going because it's never heard a shot. So as soon as it hears a shot, it stops. So, and this will continue to record each time it hears a shot. But in between that, it's not going. So when you're done, you're off the clock. Take your time unloading. A lot of times people are like rushing and then they're doing stupid crap. Take your time, reholstering. We're there to help you, but no rush.
The last shot stops the time.
Yeah.
What happens
This
there?
starts it. That's when you want to go, 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 go. But last shot stops the time. So once you're done there, take your time.
Okay, so those commands are understood. We're going to go through them during the course today, so no worries. Next one we're going to talk about is loading, reloading, unloading, or abandoning a firearm. So, what's very, very important is when you're loading that your finger is visibly outside of the trigger guard. Any firearm. Pistol. My finger goes down the slide. That's how I load. If it's in or near the trigger and you do load, you could get disqualified. The finger must be visibly outside, clear of the trigger guard, while loading, unloading, abandoning, whatever it happens to be. It also happens to with movement, and we'll get to that. When you're loading, you're always loading downrange. Even if the course of fire you're going to start there, face downrange and load. With rifle, specifically, muzzle down. Okay, slam fire, if it's pointing up, it's a bad thing. Never happened to me, but when you're loading a long gun, you always want it down, right? No loading with or any gun. If the muzzle is above the berm, you're going to get in trouble, right? So facing downrange at the berm or down is when you load. Finger is visibly outside of the trigger when you're loading. Loading, reloading, unloading, whatever it happens to be. Whenever you're doing something that you're not physically aiming or shooting at targets, the finger must be outside of the trigger. Okay. So this is multi-gun, 3-gun in this case. You will have a long gun at some point, and you will have to get rid of it to go to the next long gun or the pistol. They call that abandoning. I don't like the term. I'm not abandoning, but whatever. Let's call it abandoning. So we have these drop tables, they're called, the white tables. It could be a barrel. It could be a table like that. Normally they want something pretty safe that when you put it in, it's not going to easily fall out, right? So when you abandon a firearm, long gun for whatever, it can be in 2 conditions. It can be in the firearm ready condition, exactly how it started. Could be loaded, could be chambered. As long as the safety is engaged, you can abandon it. Or it can be fully empty. So pop, pop, pop. Open, drop it. Okay? So the firearm ready condition, so as you started with it, like I said, it could be loaded, chambered, but as long as the safety is engaged, long guns, Shotgun, rifle, you can put them in. Or they can be fully empty, chamber open. It doesn't have to be open, but it has to be empty. Pistol, same thing. If you're abandoning a pistol, it can be loaded, it can be chambered, but the safety must be engaged if it has one. With a Glock or other type of striker fire that don't have the external safety, they don't have to have the safety applied. They can just be put right in and be loaded. Okay, that's abandoning. We're going to talk a little bit about what to do if you want to pick up your abandoned firearm. Okay, you can reuse a firearm. They call it abandoning, but it's not forever. So if I shoot the rifle, I put it down, I go like, oh man, I forgot. I can go back, get my rifle, re-engage those targets, re-abandon it, and go. Right? Now, if I've gone too far and missed it, it's probably not worth the time, but you can go back and get it. You cannot have two guns in your hand at the same time. So I can't have my pistol and then pick up the shotgun and go. I can't do that. Two guns. You can touch two guns. Like I can be putting my pistol down as I'm grabbing the stock of the shotgun or whatever and pull it out, right? But I'm not running around with the two. So you can touch as I'm dropping my pistol, I grab my shotgun and go, right? But you can't ever have two at the same time. You are responsible for abandoning the firearm. If you throw it in there and it falls out, what happened? It hit the ground, you're disqualified. You're responsible. Be careful with some of the barrels. I've seen videos, they dump it in there and it just goes boing, it falls right out. Automatic disqualification. So you are responsible for abandoning your firearm safely, right? So make sure that when you put it in there, it's stable, it's not going to fall out, off you go. Okay, questions on that? It's really loading, unloading, reloading. You must have your finger outside of the trigger guard on any firearm. Okay, abandoning we talked about can be in the ready condition, which was loaded, chambered, but safety engaged, or it can be totally empty. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about movement. What's considered movement, because there are certain things you can do during movement, certain things you can't do during movement. All right, so except when you're actually aiming or shooting at targets, I can be moving. I can have my finger on the trigger. If I do this, I'm not actively aiming at or shooting at a target. My finger must be out. Any firearm, long gun, whatever it is. I can run. I can walk as I shoot. My finger on the trigger, no problem, right? I'm moving, but I'm actually physically aiming at or shooting at targets. As soon as you stop that, this is aiming at, this is not, right? You must have your finger outside of the trigger to go to the next position or whatever it is, right? So I can do this, then I gotta go, right? Fingers out. Okay, so unless you're actively looking at, through the sights, or shooting at targets, you must take your finger off the trigger whenever you're moving somewhere else. So they're talking about reholstering. As I mentioned, you can reholster if you prefer. For some, whatever tactical reason or advantage maybe, it must be in the firearm ready condition the way it was when you pulled it out. Okay? Or it can be totally empty as well. Okay, so as we talked, there's some assistance that can be given by the range officer, safety officer, but it cannot be given by spectators. So buddy can't yell, hey, you missed that target. Can't do that. They got to keep quiet unless there's a safety issue, as Larry mentioned. But assistance comes from the range officer, safety officer. But no, it's the wrong way. Got to go this way, right? But you can't have spectators doing that or other competitors. They could get a penalty and you could get a penalty. It could get to the extreme that you get disqualified as well, right? But no assistance, or they call it interference, from someone who is not shooting, who's not the range officer. Range officer, safety officer can give assistance, as we talked about, for safety reasons or whatever. But don't let your buddy yell, you forgot a target, okay? Because that'll get you penalties. So we do have special exemptions for people in wheelchairs or with disability, but in certain cases they can take a penalty if there was something that they weren't able to accomplish during a course of fire. We had a guy in Montreal that was great dude and just handicapped, and went through the whole black badge course and everything like that. So he's having a lot of fun. So if there's a specific reason that a person cannot do something physically, they can take a penalty to not do that section of the. It's not going to be an advantage, but it's not going to be like you got zeros for everything. So there are certain cases that we allow that. In certain cases, especially at the rifle, we have long range targets. We have up to 200. So they'll be, let's call targets similar, like what we put, just a gong style. There are reactive targets that once you hit, they hit a flag, but they're like $500 or $600 a pop. So we don't have those. We'll assign someone, a range officer, to call the hits. So they'll have a spotting scope or something like that. You fire, they'll call the hit. So they will call the hit. If you hear a hit, you can move on to the next one. Let's say there's 3 targets, pow, hit, pow, hit, pow, hit, you move on. If they call a hit and you actually miss, well, it sucks to be them because you get the hit anyway. They've called the hit. Maybe they saw something that wasn't. But we do have range officers that will call the hits on the long range targets. Sometimes it's real hard to see, with the naked eye kind of thing. We'll talk quickly about sight pictures. Typically, you're allowed to take a sight picture in most of the sports. That's basically, during the make ready, when you're told to make ready or load to make ready. That's the only time then you can start doing stuff. Once you're loaded, or before you're loaded, you make sure your red dot's on, or your scope is adjusted, or whatever, or whatever makes sense. Please don't, with every rifle, if you want to take something like that, or you want to adjust your scope, no problem, but it's not here to zero in every target kind of thing, right? So, but you can take sight pictures, make sure optics are working, your scope is adjusted to what you want for the range that you want to shoot with, okay? Okay, this is something that doesn't get covered a lot, but during scoring, you're the competitor, you just shot, you're following the range officer or safety officer who's calling the score. Don't touch the targets or even go near them, okay? It could be considered interference. You can say, hey, wait, you missed something. Absolutely, please do that, because range officers are human, we miss stuff, right? But don't go up and touch the target. Don't, try to move something, whatever. If you see something that's doesn't look right, you can say, hey, can you check that? They'll be happy to come back and check it again. In certain cases, if it's a big, you may want to designate somebody. Someone, hey, because we may be scoring 2 sides at once, just to speed things up, right? So you might only be able to see one side in the scoring if you get into that, right? Scoring is very easy in this sport, 3-gun, it's time plus, but you can designate someone to follow the other RO if for some reason, they do that at big matches just to speed things up. They have 2 or 3 ROs going at once, scoring different sections. So you can designate someone to follow the RO. They cannot touch it, but they're just there to make sure that, you're getting the best score that you can get. Okay. That was movement. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the safety things during movement or while you're handling the firearms. We talked about the finger and the trigger, very important. There's also what they call the 180 or the 90. So you see where the berm is, and these side berms are parallel, and that's perpendicular up there. This is the stage. This is the bay. The 180 is this, okay, perpendicular to the side berms. You must have your muzzle pointing that way at all times. So 90 degrees from center or 180 degrees from both sides, it must always point downrange. That includes this way. So if I do this with my pistol, I'm going to get disqualified as well, or rifle, whatever it happens to be. Now, it's always the berms. Just because a target's facing this way doesn't give you an extra 30 or 45 yards. It's still here, right? No stage design will ever put a target past where you can shoot at it on purpose that will get you disqualified. You may run past the target and do that and get yourself disqualified, but nothing is ever going to be designed to trick you or to make you make a mistake, okay? There's normally going to be a wall or something like that. But trust me, I've done it. You can walk by and if you do walk past something, back up. Back up. There it is, it's there. Shoot. I go past it, oh, forgot that one. Back up. Same thing, as long as the muzzle's pointing in the right direction. So 180, it's always the berms, not where you're facing. And it applies this way too, right? So never do this. That's breaking this 180, right? Or up like this as well. Very important. Something's called sweeping. Larry mentioned something about it. Is loaded or not, you can never pass the muzzle of past any part of your body, so, loaded or not. So I got a pistol, I'm opening a door, I do that. That's sweeping. I've just gone in front of the muzzle. Gun's loaded or not, doesn't matter. It's a little harder with a long gun to get your arm out there, but it could happen. So anywhere. The only time it doesn't apply, holstering and reholstering. Because obviously if I pull it out, I'm pointing at my toe, but you have to holster and reholster. That's the only time it doesn't apply, right? So sometimes you got to open a door or something. Just make sure you get that gun out of the way, up, whatever it happens to be. We're going to do some of the scoring, and then we'll get a couple things. So there's a couple things I want to point out. Okay, scoring. Scoring. It's very easy to score in 3-gun using these rules. We use these as pistol targets, and we use these as rifle targets. Distinctly different. You can never mix them up, saying, I didn't realize that was a rifle target or whatever. So we'll start with the scoring. Targets are neutralized when you've got one round in the 0 or A zone. In certain targets, it's an A zone. That includes this one in this case, or 2 rounds anywhere. So 1 round here, 1 round there, or I can have 2 rounds there. That is considered neutralized. The perforation is the line. As long as the bullet touches that line, it's considered a score, right? So it can be all the way over here, and I just barely have it nick that line, it's considered a score. Okay, so neutralized if one in the 0 in this case, or the A, or 2 anywhere else, right? Don't need to get into that. Okay. We'll just go into the scoring here quick, sorry. There we go. Time plus. So it's your time. It took you 57 seconds plus whatever penalties you got. So we'll talk about the penalties for missing or not fully engaging or not neutralizing the targets. So target is neutralized, as I mentioned, with 1 A hit. In this case, it's a 0. We also accept this, or 2 rounds anywhere on the target. Neutralized. Move on. 0 penalties. 1 round here or 1 round there. Only 1 round, not in the A, is considered failure to neutralize. That's a 5-second penalty. So when they're going through the scoring, they will say, we don't even say anything until we come up to saying, oh, only 1 round there, failure to neutralize. On the scoring tab, they just hit a failure to neutralize. It adds a 5-second penalty to your score. No hits. Totally missed it. They're over here somewhere, right? 10-second penalty. Not great. 10-second penalty. Adds to your time at the end. So time plus penalties. Even worse, failure to engage means I totally forgot to shoot at this. I didn't see it. It was over there and I ran past it. Extra 5 seconds on top of the 10 seconds for the miss, because you obviously got the miss, but you got an extra 5 seconds failure to engage it. You didn't even engage it. You only have to engage targets with 1 round to qualify for the engagement part of it, because I could shoot 1 round there, boom, I'm gone, right? If I was any good. But failure to engage is if you totally forgot the target, didn't shoot at it, or maybe chose not to. Depends on the, the strategy that you were going through in that case. Okay, so no shoot targets. You see the white ones? They are penalty or no shoot, not the metal, the cardboard only. They're considered no shoot targets. There are time penalties for that. It's 5 seconds for each hit. Normally, it's only a maximum of up to 2 per target. What you don't want to do is be penalized more than you can ever get. So, penalty target, no shoot, whatever they call it, depending on how it's put up there, can be 5 seconds per shot. Okay? Okay, they're talking about a spinner. We don't use spinners with pistols or rifles here. Okay, so now there's metal targets on the rifle range. What we do is anything more than 100 yards, a miss is a 20-second penalty. I forget what they call it. It's primarily designed because if it's a real hard shot, if you just go and run, you lost 10 seconds. Maybe it takes 30 seconds to get through this. So that's kind of, they're trying to make it more painful if you miss. Beyond 100 yards only. So anything at 100 or 200, if you miss, it is a 20-second penalty.
You can shoot until you hit?
You shoot until you hit. There's no minimum. There are time minimums typically though, right? The timer has a capacity to stop at a certain time. 300 seconds, 5 minutes, whatever, just to keep things going. You may have a newer shooter, not used to 200-yard targets. They can't spend an hour there. It's too long. So there'll be a time, maximum time, and that'll be specified in the stage briefing of what that is. If you can't hit it, try and then just go. I mean, don't sit there for 10 minutes trying to hit one target if you're just not able to do it. I mean, just shoot at it and then go. Right? It's not worth sitting there. We've seen people run out of ammo trying to hit one pesky target, and there's 10 other targets that they can't even shoot at because they don't have any ammo left. So, my 2 cents anyway. Okay. So scoring. It's called time plus. It's your time plus any penalties that are added to your score. So say it took you 75 seconds, and you had 5 seconds of penalty, you got an 80-second overall time. And that's how people are ranked. There are divisions, right? So there's open and tactical typically, and you will then shoot against the people in your division, or you can verify how you classed against the people in that division, right? So scoring, 1 round, neutralized, 2 rounds anywhere, neutralized, only 1 round on the target, failure to neutralize, 5 seconds, total miss is a miss, 10 seconds. Failure to engage, totally forgot to shoot at it, adds that 5-second failure to engage plus the 10 for the miss. So total of 50. Okay, same thing, 1 round in there, 2 rounds anywhere is considered a hit. Okay.
The targets with black on them, those are just...
So black on a target,
just makes a miss.
That does not exist. So you hit in the black, it doesn't count for anything. It doesn't count for score. Right. So it is a miss, correct. That's
not a penalty.
It's not a penalty. That's done to make things a little more challenging sometimes. You've got to shoot around, and that's part, or maybe it's make it a tougher shot, right? If big target like this at 10 feet, it's pretty easy. If you cut half of it off or something like that, makes it a little bit more difficult. Or sometimes to slow the pace down, right? Sometimes we'll do that if there's 2 blank targets, then we'll put 2 ones with some kind of hard cover on it, and then just to slow the pace down, mix it up a little bit. Okay. We're going to go to procedural penalties. Any questions on the scoring? It's pretty straightforward. Like I said, it's nice and easy. The ROs just walk by looking for 2 rounds. They don't see 2. As long as there's 1 in the A, they just keep walking. And at the end, you'll get your time. Okay. For 10. Let's go. Oh, I did want to point out frangible targets that break. So we use clay pigeons sometimes, and it's only ever shot with bird shot. 1 bird shot in it counts as hit. Doesn't have to be shattered or broken up or anything like that. If there's 1 tiny little pellet in it, it counts as a hit. Sometimes hard to see, but it does not have to be totally blown apart or broken or whatever. Score sheets, don't need score sheets. So we use scoring tabs here, little iPad type of things. Actually, what are they? Amazon. I got them for cheap on Amazon. It runs a practice score software that basically we load the match into it, everybody's name. When it's your turn, one of the ROs, the safety officer, is going to have it. The RO with the timer will call out 75 seconds, 75, and then they go through, add all the penalties, and then you can approve. There's a button for the shooter to, you look at it, okay, right? That's how we score here. There's no pads. That is then logged, and then it's uploaded to Practice Score, which is a website, and that's where you'll register as well for the matches, and that's where you'll see your scores. You'll also probably get an email, I think, if you've shot the match and you're on, something like that. Anyway. Okay, penalties. There's certain procedural penalties that you can get depending on the course of fire and depending on what you do. One of the biggest ones you're going to see is the fault lines. There's a fault line here. I step over and shoot. I could get penalties for that. You may get 1 procedural penalty, or you may get 1 per shot, depending on the advantage, right? If I step over and it doesn't really make much of a difference, I may get a procedural penalty, but just 1. If I step over because the target's right around here and shoot, I might get a procedural penalty for each shot because of the extra advantage that I gained on doing that, right? Most of the time it's just, accidental or whatever. That's why we have the safety, the fault lines are raised that you can feel them. You don't have to actually look. The yellow lines, it's the same type of thing. It's not a fault line, but we're very relaxed with it. If you're barely touching or something like that, it's okay. It's really, there's the line. If I do this, right? The only time that it's critical is when there's steel. That fault line determines the safe distance to the steel. I can go forward of it accidentally, but if I go forward and shoot at steel, it is an automatic disqualification because you've gone within the safety range of that. So whenever there's steel, there will always be some type of physical fault line that you can feel and you can touch, okay? The fault lines are raised for a reason. If I touch so I can put my foot on it. If I touch the ground, I can get a procedural penalty for that. You can put your foot on it. It's this high, but if my foot rolls over and touches the ground, you can still get a procedural penalty. Tough call. I always got to, but you could. That's the typical procedures penalties that you're gonna see. Specific examples. Touching the ground. Oh, so that also includes any structure. So if there's a wall outside of the fault line and you lean on it, you're outside of the shooting range. You're going to get procedural penalties for using that. It is very important to understand, if it's not specified in the stage briefing, what you're allowed to lean on when you're shooting, right? Certain times, like standard walls, you're not allowed to touch them while you're shooting. There are certain cases where it would be designated like a barricade or something that you are allowed to touch it. It should be specified in the stage briefing or in the walkthrough. The RO will specify this, you are allowed to touch that. And when we do our walkthrough on this one, in stage briefing, I will let you know that you are allowed to touch the sides or hold that when you're shooting through that hole, okay? But it is typically specified, and not everything is legal. You're not allowed to lean on anything that you want. Okay, so understand it should be specified in the stage briefing. Okay, yeah, that's the advantage part. So you can't gain it back. If I stepped over the line and shot, and then I came back and shot 2 more, I don't, you know, it doesn't get annulled, that penalty. I got that penalty, that is what it is. There's certain, I know in IPSC they were talking about it, that they're shortcutting and stuff like that. You have to follow a certain, and you can't jump over from one to the other. Don't follow that here. There will be shooting zones that I'll talk to you about. How'd you get to that shooting zone is up to you, but there'll be shooting zones that we'll talk about that you must shoot specifically, and that's always because of distance, steel, whatever it is. You can't shoot a metal target here, so there'll be a shooting area that you can go to shoot that target. Okay, Cooper tunnels. Hate those things. So I talked about it's called creeping. It's before the beep. Are you ready? Stand by. Beep. That's called creeping. You'll get a warning, but you could get a procedural penalty if you keep doing it. Right? Right. Okay. So it does say that if there is a specification to shoot strong hand or weak hand, you'll get procedural penalties if you don't follow that. I'm not a fan of strong hand weak hand shooting, but in certain cases, certain matches, certain disciplines, they will say you must shoot weak hand here. If you don't, you'll get procedural penalties typically for each shot. But other matches, 3-gun matches, they may have you have to shoot this weak hand or whatever. If you don't follow that, you're going to get procedurals. Okay, procedurals are just, did you follow the procedure in the stage briefing? Okay, then. Yeah, don't use full auto. Okay, abandoning a loaded firearm without the safety on. Very careful. In certain cases you could get disqualified. The actual rule is a 30-second penalty. Some cases you'll get disqualified because it's an unsafe condition, right? So just make sure safety is on or it's fully empty before you abandon, and you'll never have to worry about any of these penalties, right? Okay. Oh, all right, so a jammed firearm or a squib load that's halfway down the barrel is still considered loaded, so it must be addressed typically on the range. So somebody could bring you a barrel rod or whatever to try to get it out, but it's considered loaded, so you can't bring it back here in your hand. Typically, the RO will help you address whatever it is. If not, what we've done in the past, with Glocks or whatever, you take it apart, take the barrel out, the gun back, and just take the barrel, which is now just a piece of lead stuck in a barrel. Okay, disqualifications. Nobody likes to hear that, but it does happen. It's usually, it's always a safety issue. You've done something that is unsafe, drastically unsafe, you're going to get a disqualification. Okay, let's some typical examples. Accidental discharge. I'm firing. That's automatic disqualification. Any firearm, right? They're also talking about berms. So if I go bup, 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 like that, I fired over the berm, done. Absolutely unsafe, especially rifles. But any firearm you shoot over the berm, it's a disqualification. Be careful. Some places have like a 45-degree angle disqualification or something. Even if the berm's way up here, some places, depends on the club rules, they may have a 45-degree angle. So if you shoot anything higher than 45 degrees, you could even in some cases you could get disqualified just for having the muzzle point up like that. Not the 180 anymore, but they have a specific whatever it is for whatever reason. Make sure that you understand those rules at different ranges. Over the backstop, if there's a ricochet off a rock or something like that, it's not a disqualification. Okay, shot which strikes the ground less than 10 feet in front of your feet, if there's no target there. Like some cases, we've had a wall with targets like that, and it's certainly less than 10 feet, but there's a target there. So if I'm shooting and I shoot down here, anything within 10 feet, accidental discharge or unsafe gun handling, whatever it happens to be. So if you happen to have a squib and the bullet falls out, it's not considered a accidental discharge. You won't get disqualification for that. Okay. So, as we mentioned, when you're loading, reloading, unloading, the finger must be outside the trigger. So any shot that happens while loading, unloading, reloading means your finger was not outside of the trigger, therefore you're disqualified for that as well. Also, if you got a jam or something like that, pow, same thing, right? Obviously your finger wasn't outside of the trigger. So a shot which happens while you're moving, when you're not actively engaging. In certain cases, the RO can't see anything, right? Everything. But if you've shot and you run down here and poof, same thing, right? Accidental discharge. A shot that happens while you're abandoning a firearm. Same thing. It all comes down to that it can't happen if your finger's not in the trigger, right? So that's the most important thing. When you're not actively engaging a target, get that finger up on the frame, slide, whatever, no problem abandoning or whatever, right? All right, so then there's unsafe gun handling. We talked about that. It's you drop it, it falls out. It could get caught on a wall as you're walking past or something like that. Now, only when you're shooting, you're within the are you ready and the unload and show clear, right? Let's say after the beep, is when you're going to get disqualified. If I'm walking along here and boom, it knocks out, I'm not disqualified unless I touch it. So do not touch it. If your firearm falls out for any reason, wherever you happen to be, you stop, you find a range officer, they will come over and they will make the area safe, and they will then either have you or retrieve the firearm for you and put it back. It's typically only handguns, but you're not going to get disqualified because you're not within that, you're not in the course of fire, right? So make sure, but don't pick it up yourself. So handling a firearm anywhere other than the safety table, we're talking pistols because if you're walking along, but if you're handling your pistol anywhere but the safety table or when you're actually shooting, it's going to be a disqualification. Like I said, don't walk over and, oh, is that, hey, is that the new pistol? Yeah, have it. Right? Only at the safety table or when you're actually shooting. So this is what we talked about, the 180 rule. So if ever my pistol goes, this is 180. It's not hard to break, right? You're trying to run this way or this way, right? This is the critical one. If I'm doing something like this, I've passed a target, I want to come back and shoot at it, it's automatic unsafe gun handling.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Are all of those disqualifications, they DQ you from the entire match?
Correct.
Or just from a stage?
No,
Okay.
no,
So
it's a safety
you get a
infraction.
DQ, you're done.
You're done for the day.
Gotcha.
Now, they don't make you leave, they don't kick you out, so you can stay and watch and help and gain some more experience, and I encourage that because it happens. You're new, you messed up, it's going to happen. That's why the ROs and safety officers are there. It's going to happen, especially if the gun falls out. It's what am I going to do? I was running from one place to another. Please stay. I mean, it happens to everybody, right? Or it will happen to everybody. It's just one of those things, and come back the next time, and you won't do the same thing again. I promise you, right? Most people are pretty good with that. I did it once. No. Okay, so you cannot just place your firearm during the course of fire, just place it on the ground and go somewhere, right? It must be in an abandoned. Now, you can, for some reason, put it down and pick it back up if you don't go away from it. I'm not sure why you'd do that, but whatever reason, you can place it on the ground if it's in ready condition, safe condition, and pick it back up. If you move more than 1 yard away or 3 feet away from it, you're going to get disqualified. So I'm just,
I think it has to be barreled down.
I'm just going through. Well, the same thing applies. If you put your pistol pointing that way on the ground, you're still going to get disqualified no matter what, because you've broken that 180, right? So the sweeping that we talked about applies to any person. So if I'm out here and the RO is there and I back up quickly and I pointed at the RO, I am disqualified. Just make sure of your surroundings. If you have to lose, you can get a reshoot, no problem. But if you point at somebody, you're getting disqualified. So if you go to like that and he's right there, stop. The RO, sorry man, reshoot, right? Most RO safety officers are not going to get in your way in most cases unless you did something unexpected, like you were running to the next and you forgot and came screaming back and they were running after you, that you could get behind them, right? So they're human, but just be aware of your surroundings. Make sure you understand where the muzzle is pointing. If you see someone for any reason, just stop. You'll get a reshoot, no problem, but don't sweep anybody or anything. One thing specified here is be careful when drawing your pistol specifically. If I'm kneeling down and I draw my pistol like that, that is a disqualification, okay? Most cases, we're not going to force you to go prone with a loaded firearm and then make you draw it, right? You may have to go prone for a rifle position, then you would get up and move to the right? So just, it's always be very, very careful when you're drawing your firearm. If for some reason you're leaning on something and you pull it out like this and it points backward, that's a disqualification. You broke that 180, okay? Okay. Yeah, and the finger, of course, is also, if you decide to reholster your firearm and it's not in the ready condition, the safety's not on, for example, that's an automatic disqualification. And then touching ammunition, dummy rounds, empty shells on the safety table. That's a disqualification. We talked about that one before. And it does talk about having a loaded firearm. So if you walk into the match with a loaded firearm, you could potentially get disqualified, right? I'm pretty sure every match, when they run the match takes over, so it becomes a dry range. Now, that doesn't matter, the shotgun or whatever, or sometimes there's the 15 yards up there that are still being used. It doesn't apply to that. But in the area where the match is going, that's the dry range. So make sure that you understand. And also going to another match or another range or something like that. It's probably best to unload before you get there. But if you're there, ask. And then the last one was retrieving a dropped firearm. So if it does fall out, you're walking between stages or whatever, you hit something, it falls out, don't pick it up. Ask an RO or safety officer, they'll come, make sure the area is safe, and then they will retrieve it for you and put it back in your holster. Everything's good. It's not a disqualification unless you pick it up. Okay. So if you do use metal piercing rounds, etc., you can get disqualified. Also says that firing at metal targets, right, that we talked about within that safety range, and there's defined safety ranges for pistol and rifle and shotgun, that's an automatic disqualification as well. So make sure you understand where that safety fault line is and where that steel is. Okay, there's also unsportsmanlike conduct if you start being aggressive or start pushing the RO or something like that. Never happens, but I mean, you can get disqualified for being, aggressive. There's no alcohol and drugs, so if you're drunk or high or something like that, you could get disqualified as well, right? So there's just no aggression, right? There's no verbal, like ROs are doing the best they can. You guys are doing the best we can, and we're here to help. So. Okay, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's a ton of other stuff as you saw me scrolling through. I encourage you, if you're interested or recap, to read through those. The agenda covers everything that you're going to need to know. This is not like a USPSA course. We do a black badge course for IPSC. That's it's 26 hours. So this is not that. This is just an intro to 3-gun. You guys are some firearms experience, some familiarity with them. So I'm just going through kind of the rules, the equipment, the firearms, etc., and kind of how to play. So what we're going to do now, if there's no questions, I'm going to start gearing up. This is when you would get your firearms from the cars, bring them to the safety table. As mentioned, if it's a pistol, it's some type of bag that has to go to the safety table. Long guns can be, if they've got a safety chamber, safety flag, they can be brought in. If they don't have a safety flag, ask, we'll give you one and put it in and then bring it over. Whenever they're being moved, they must have a safety flag on them, long guns. Okay? All right, let's get geared up. What I'll do is I'm gonna go through a little bit. We'll do the safety briefing. That's very important. You cannot miss that. Before every match, there's going to be a safety briefing. You have to attend or you are not allowed to shoot. So I'll run the safety briefing now, or give you an example of what it is. It's real very basic. I'll get some glasses. So we gather everybody around, safety briefing, or what, everybody comes in. It'll start something like that. Hello, welcome to the Sportsman's Club. 3-gun match for June or whatever it is. My name is Tim. I'm the 3-gun match director. Everybody's paid their match fees because there are match fees. Our safety range officers for today are, I'll show you who the safety officers are, because a lot of times we don't wear a specific shirt, but Larry, Tim, Ken, whoever are safety officers. We'll say we operate a cold range as explained. Anybody's carrying, please, we'll take you off and get you unloaded. Safety tables are clearly indicated and located on each range. Normally, there would be a sign during the match. There would be a sign, and it's always facing the berm. So please don't go, if you're manipulating the firearm, don't go too far outside of that range. So what I say, there's no preload or staging areas in this match. As I said, some places will stage shotguns, maybe over there. We don't do that here. Oh, I didn't give you the 60-second. You're too quick. Okay, primary safety rules during the course of fire is the muzzle cannot break the 180. So it's always referenced to the berms. Also this way though, so behind you or up like this. The muzzle of any firearm cannot point in that direction while you're participating in the course of fire. Your finger must be clearly outside of the trigger guard at all times unless actively engaging targets. As we mentioned, this is engaging targets. That's not, right? Very simple. Long gun, handgun, etc. Never allow the muzzle of any firearm to sweep any part of your body. We talked about that. This is a typical safety briefing that you'll get at every match. It might be slightly different than this. In case there's an accident, the RO will direct someone to call 911 and someone to go down to the gate to guide the first responders in. If you're making the call to 911, there's been a training accident. That is the terminology that's used. The address on every bay or stage is clearly marked. If you're the one sent to the gate, please stay there until someone relieves you in case others needed to be guided in. And then we typically have several people that have been trained in first aid, stop the bleed, etc., whatever. And then we have first aid kits at each So these either follow the squad or they stay at each of the ranges, right? So first aid kits, etc. there. We need everybody to help patch and reset the steel. So jumping out of the safety briefing, everybody has to help patch and set up steel. Please follow the RO, make sure they've scored it before you patch, because then that needs a reshoot and that saves time. If you're not sure, just wait until you can get their attention, say, hey, yeah, good, patch, go ahead, okay? So there are patches located here. Steel gets reset, the knockover, obviously the popper gets pushed back up, and the 2 clay pigeons just get reset. So typically what everybody spreads out and covers the whole thing, and in 2 minutes it's done. Everybody must do that except the shooter who just shot, because they're coming back, and the person on deck. So the person who's shooting next. They get that extra 2, 3, 4 minutes to go through their plan. They are exempt from patching. And so the shooter, the one who just shot, doesn't have to patch their own targets, and the one on deck. Everybody else is required to do that. You can reload in between and whatever, there'll be plenty of time, but please make sure that we help. Okay, jumping back into the safety briefing. Yeah, like I mentioned, the person on deck is not required to patch. And then we appreciate everybody's help taking down the stages at the end of the match. As I mentioned, it's all volunteer work. We need help setting it up and taking it down. If you can't make it on a Friday to set up, I understand during work, but please, the Saturday afternoon when we're done, make sure that you stay and help tear down the match. It's really quick. Just rip all this stuff up. It goes there. We've got a couple dedicated people in the containers that put them all in, and it's like an hour tops and it's done. So we really need your help with that. Okay, any questions? Have fun, be safe, and good shooting. So that's a typical safety briefing. Nothing special. You'll hear them same at just about any range, any match, and for any discipline as well. Okay, so during the class, I mentioned that there will be a written stage briefing. That is typical. Most of the time you'll get something like that. It'll be stapled, it'll be glued, whatever that you can look at. What is it supposed to do? There's a stage number, and if there's a title, whatever can be put on there. Typically what it's going to do is it's going to designate the targets. This is a pistol target. Very, very clear. This is a rifle target. Okay, this will not score if you shoot rifle on this, and this will not score if you shoot pistol on it. Right? If you accidentally shoot it, you're not getting a penalty, but it will not score, obviously. So, pistol, rifle, very distinct. Then it will typically also list the number of targets, and if it's paper or steel. So we have 12 rifle, and they're all paper. We have 1, 2, and 3 no-shoots. Remember, the no-shoot is a penalty. It's the white. There is 6 paper for pistol and 2 steel. So the 2 steel are the 2 round ones at each corner. And we're going to go through a little bit more in a second to get you more familiarized with this. For the shotgun, there are 2 clays, 5 knockover steels, and the big popper. The full-size popper, that falls down. Something that was not mentioned, in shotgun, the steel must fall to score. So if you shoot the target and it spins sideways, it didn't fall over, it must be knocked over to score. However, sometimes pistol, if you have one of those, if that pistol target gets knocked sideways, it's considered hit. But that will be clearly defined in the stage briefing, okay? But for a shotgun, it's birdshot. If you shoot it like that, you shoot it again. You have to knock it over. Same with the popper. It must fall to score with a shotgun, okay? Right, so then typically it's going to list the rules, latest edition of the USPSA multi-gun rules. Scoring is time plus, as we talked about. If there's a time limit, remember we said there could be a time limit, it will be indicated there. And then the time start and the stop. The start is audible, that beep, and the stop is last shot whenever you're finished. Okay? So start position. In this case, I said feet on X's. I marked 2 little X's there. You're going to start with your feet on those. Always facing downrange, unless specified. Very rare do we face uprange when we're starting. But okay, so now I have the firearm start and ready conditions. So long guns, loaded to capacity, depending on the division. Shotgun is 9 loaded, with safeties engaged. We will take those up, and then we will stage them on the specific drop boxes or abandoning area, whatever we want to call it, that's going to be there. So long guns are going to be loaded to capacity with safeties engaged. What I typically like to do here is, with the pistol, the magazine is inserted, but it's not chambered. You're running around with the pistol and it drops, at least there's no risk of it going off. You'll get disqualified, but so anyway, it's just a risk thing that we do here, especially sometimes if you're going prone or something like that when you're starting, then you're not starting with a loaded gun pointing backwards, okay? So most of the time it will specify the starting conditions, but you may be allowed to start wherever you want with any gun that you want. For this first run, we're going to start with the rifle, and it will specify the ready condition. So we always start typically low ready. So shoulder somewhere about a 45-degree angle down, safety engaged, finger visibly outside of the, right? At the beep, beep, and you can do whatever you like, safety's off. Do not take the safety off before the beep, right? You will be stopped, you will get a procedural, you can go again. If you keep doing that, it can be a safety issue. You could get in trouble, okay? So in this, for this specific one, I'm going to tell you we're starting with the long gun. The shotgun is going to be staged on the left on that white table, the drop box we call it. And the pistol is going to be magazine inserted, but it's not going to be chambered and holstered, okay? So we're going to do one at a time. So that is, and then the procedure is usually pretty simple. At signal, engage targets from within the shooting areas. So we're going to go up and we're going to look at all that. I'm going to actually bring coffee. I didn't even open it. That's good. All right. So a couple of things that can be tricky, especially new shooters to long gun sports. This is going to be the shooting starting position, as I mentioned. I'm going to have my rifle loaded, safeties engaged, at low ready, approximately 45 degrees down, and however is comfortable. Are you ready? Stand by, beep, then I can go. So it said engage targets as they become visible from within the specified shooting areas. So if there's a specified shooting area, it will be explained, and we're going to go through it and explain that. So in this case, the only rifle targets that I can see from this position are those two. So I would engage those. Be careful, trying to cheat the system and stuff like that, because if there are, I put this here, but if in the procedure there are specific things to do and you don't do that, you're going to get penalties, right? So you'll engage those two targets. Now, something very critical is, it happens with handguns, but it's more prevalent with long guns, is you stick your rifle through here and then you go. And what happens? You didn't pull it all the way out. It hits there. Your body, the momentum just takes it, and you've just gotten DQ'd. Pistol, shotgun, rifle, same thing. I'm here or I'm here. Is that an advantage? Or, same thing. You don't have to, I can shoot from here. I don't have to do this. You see a lot of the newer shooters getting right in there, You don't have to. Sometimes you do, because you got to go into here or something like that. Just be super careful when you're coming out with a long gun. It's so easy. Either way, hit that. The momentum just takes that muzzle, and you're done for the day. Same thing with a pistol. Happens all the time. Oh, done, right? Make sure. So in this case, start position, long gun, low ready, beep, engage. I'm giving you a lot more information than the RO would normally give you, okay? The RO would not tell you there's 2 targets there, there's 3. They don't have to do that, right? It's kind of up to you. But there's nothing hidden. You can walk around and look behind things, all right? So this is going to be the designated rifle shooting area. From there all the way to here.
And from that port
No.
Okay.
That's most of the time there'd be a wall and stuff like that. You know, in a match, we would be a little bit more thorough, right? Just for this. The point is to engage those two targets down here and then come over here.
You're
And
saying this would be a wall or whatever?
No. Typically, you would have something like that you could not engage those targets from through this port.
Oh, I got you.
Right? I would put 2 walls here, but for this example, right, we're just having some fun here. All right, so I would move over. Now, the shooting area, you know, there's no back stop or there's no fault line at the back, but let's be reasonable. You wouldn't run around the tables, right? Always be careful of things like this when you're running, okay? Make a mental note before you start because, boy, you trip on something like that, it hurts and you go flying sometimes. So if I was doing this, I'd engage those 2 targets. I'd come around and remember, don't be doing this, right? You want to come back out of there. I can engage these targets anytime I want to, right? As I'm going. I've got targets over there too. So this is the rifle shooting area. It's going to be designated rifle. It will be on the drawing. It will be specified in the stage briefing as well, okay? So you can fire your rifle anywhere from there all the way to within this zone. That's the rifle shooting area. Rifle can be shot here. I can't do this without a penalty, right? Procedural penalties. So once you've finished, there are rifle targets there, and those 2 that you've engaged through the port. Once you're done, this is when you would abandon that rifle. You're satisfied that you're finished. To abandon the firearm, the safety must be engaged, right? I'm gentle when I put my guns down. Some people throw them. They can do what they want. Don't let it fall, right? This is pretty sturdy. Gentle. Then what? We're going to have your shotgun staged here, right? It's going to be loaded to capacity with the safety engaged. So when I'm done with my rifle, there's plenty of room for 2. Put the rifle down, I can grab the shotgun. However, this is the rifle shooting area. Where do I have to go? So this is the designated shotgun shooting area, okay? I can go back there, but I can't go forward. And because there's steel, we've got these, right? So you can go up and feel it without actually having to look. But you're not going to approach or get within the safety zone of the steel, right? So shotgun targets we talked about. There's 2 clay pigeons. You see the orange ones? There's 5 knockover steel. And there's the big popper that are engaged from within the shotgun shooting area. Okay?
The last one?
There's no... Right, there's no slicing the pie or whatever, right? It's whatever you see. However, you know, if there was a target there, don't go past and come back. That's up to you. There's nothing hidden here. There's no reason for you to break 90 unless, you know, that's all on you. So I'm done with the shotgun. I can drop my shotgun here. If there's still chamber, still rounds in it, I have to have the safety on and drop it here, okay? Then we have 2 pistol shooting boxes. All rounds must be fired within these boxes, okay? I can run back and forth, whatever, but when I'm shooting, I've got to be within these boxes. So you can do this if you prefer, but I can't do that, right? And if I do that, it's a disqualification. Remember, because the steel, I'm within that safety zone of the steel. So what did I say? There's 6 paper targets and 2 steel. The 2 round things. Are you okay with that, Joe? Yeah? All right.
It's his old iPad.
Oh, okay. All right. Bing. There's 2 steel, the round steel. They just have to be hit. You hear them very well. There's no question about hitting it or not, right? Ping. It's very, very distinctive. And it's within, we're farther than 10 yards or minimum of 10 yards, so we're okay. So there are certain targets that you can't see from within this box, no matter what you do. Therefore, I have to come over here and engage some of the targets, the other targets from this location. So you remember the scoring, right? 1 in the 0 or the A or whatever we want to call it, or 2 anywhere else, right? Counts as neutralized. Steel, 1 hit is all to be neutralized. Okay, that's how we're going to run this one the first time going forward. Then we're going to try it going backward, and then we'll be a little bit more open to however you want. Most of the times what I will do in matches, start anywhere you want with whatever gun you want to start with, right? There may be advantages to starting with one versus the other, but if you're comfortable starting with your pistol and running back, that's why. Here's the pistol drop box, right? It's this little section right here. Certain times we might put a box somewhere. It will always have some type of support, though it won't fall off. Again, it's up to you to make sure that it's secure and it's in the ready condition, right? So safety's engaged if it has one, if it's still loaded. If it's totally empty, just drop it and run. Okay?
May I, when I'm coming this way, may I draw my pistol?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
This is a shooting area,
Okay.
right?
You can have your pistol drawn, you just can't fire.
You cannot fire until you're within these boxes. Now, I'm not a huge fan of boxes. It's just because of the the situation we've got here. Like, we can run here. I want to run, or move, whatever. So, yes, you can draw. There's no restrictions on when you can have your firearm out. In this case, there are designated shooting areas. So all rounds must be fired from within those shooting areas with that particular firearm.
That's a big difference between like USPSA and IDPA. In general, if you're moving within that area like this, you could shoot on the way, but you cannot, not until you're in this area can you engage, and you can't engage in between.
Yeah.
You can also not re-engage. You could shoot at those rifle targets with your pistol all day long. Doesn't count. So you can't do that. You can't re-engage steel with your pistol that you haven't got with your shotgun.
Oh, no, no.
Specific to each of those. And
Yeah.
especially from here, it's a DQ because you're within the area. So just it's a real tough thing. If you're shooting multiple different disciplines, you have to sort of click into, oh, I'm shooting 3-gun today and I have to follow these rules. It comes
Dial
the
that one
time you
in.
start to
That's number
remember-
3. Click.
Yeah, number 3. What am I shooting? Oh, USB. Oh, no, that's not it. So, but you'll get used to that. But just a lot of time, and it's it's buzzer bright. You'll be like, oh, this is a great. Oh, I'm all set. Buzzer goes off and go, what the hell do I do?
Yeah, what am I doing?
What am I doing? What do I shoot now? So.
Anyway, we're here to have some fun and be safe. So please, when we're starting out, take your time. There is no rush. We're here to learn, have some fun. You'll build up that speed. I'm a proponent of being more accurate at the beginning than fast. You can get faster. You don't get more accurate when you go faster, right? So take your time, because 15 seconds is 15 seconds, man. I can do a lot in 15 seconds, so I'm not taking a penalty just because I'm running a little too quick or whatever, or not paying attention, right? So that would be the walkthrough that we would call it. So you have the safety briefing. You may not always get this full, complete walkthrough, right? We're doing a little bit more than you may normally see at a match. They may say, that's the rifle, that's the shotgun, that's the pistol shooting area, off you go. Then you would have some time, typically about 5 minutes, to walk through, look at it, oh, I can only see that from here, whatever. Also, when you're on deck and everybody else is patching, that's when you take that extra 3-4 minutes and do it again, just so it's fresh, right? Oh yeah, go through your plan or strategy or whatever it is, right? And then everybody else would be patching and setting up. And then when it's your turn to be on deck, you'd have that 3-4 minutes extra to go through and check things out and whatever. Okay?
This is multi-gun, so it's part of USPSA, so air gunning is allowed. IDPA, it is not. So if you want to go through and do a sight picture, make believe you're shooting your rifle all day long. IDPA, you cannot do that. It's the only sport you can.
Yeah, IPSC, you can't have something in your hand, so you couldn't put even your ear protection in your hand. Go ahead, do whatever you want, as long as it's not a gun.
Yeah.
Normally what happens is, because we've got we're starting with the rifle, so that would be the last thing that we would load. He's going to start with this. We're going to start loading the shotgun because it's the farthest thing away. You want to grab your shotgun, Larry? I'll hold your shells for you. Now, ROs don't have to do this. Because we don't have the staging, the shotgun staging, the ROs help out just to speed things up. Sometimes they may stage all your shotguns would be loaded, so you just walk over, get it, and put it down. But I was in a match that had the shotgun staging area next. The tables were next to the safety table. I was like, that's confusing. But to each his own. All good?
Battery's dead in my red dot, but I don't care. I'll shoot it anyway.
So this is where now I give that range command, load and make ready, and we'll do it for each of the firearms. Load and make ready.
Yep. Hold on. I've been watching Lena Misalik, whatever
Oh, yeah,
she is, her shotgun things and trying to pick up.
It's nuts how fast they are.
Yeah. Well, she also weighs like 102 pounds.
Her dad was pretty quick too.
Yeah. She's just a different type of shooter. I like her approaches. I like his
Okay.
too. It's just a different.
Maybe he's older school or something. Or?
No, she's good too, but she shoots a lot of shotgun and
Yeah. Okay.
and picked up a lot from her. I think I might be at. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. One's in.
Yep. Okay. As long as the safety's on, you're good.
There's one in the. No, it's not in the. Now we are. Is that safe or not? There we are.
Yeah, that's probably fire, right? Red
That's
is fire.
fire.
Yeah.
That's
Normally you push it in to turn it off.
Jesus.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Okay.
Find out when they go to pull the trigger.
So now I'm helping him. Where's your rifle, Larry? This one? Your rifle?
Yeah. Yeah, you can leave this one here. When you go to make ready, you can grab it. That way
I'll get you to do your pistol because we'll do the rifle last then, okay? Okay, so this is the second time I'm going to tell him load and make ready. And sometimes I'll say pistol, load and make ready. So it's not chambered, perfect.
Correct.
So you notice that magazine, but it's not chambered, right?
Which you'll forget when you go down range.
Absolutely, on purpose. Rifle, load and make ready. Jesus. Just keep the muzzle down if you can. Pass me the timer there, please. The black thing. So, this is where he gets his chance to adjust to whatever, make sure he's ready. There's no rush. After the beep is the rush.
I get the two different sight pictures. Okay.
I hold this to turn it on first.
Yeah, just turn it on. Once you see that, now you should be good.
Okay. Now pay attention to the next range command. Are you ready?
Now I am.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Stand by.
If it wasn't steady. Yeah, I got it.
you're finished, unload and show clear. Clear, hammer down and holster. So normally there would be a range officer with the score pad, and I would say, time 72.12, and they would punch that in. So now what we're doing, we've unloaded and cleared his pistol. We're going back to each of the guns. And it's the same commands. Unload, if you're finished, unload and show clear. Okay, shotgun, unload, show clear. Whoops. Okay, muzzle up. Someone come and grab the shotgun for him. Safe, it's got the safety flag. You can go ahead and spit, dropped onto the, Larry, one of your rounds, this one that came out.
Thank you.
Unload, show clear. Oh, couldn't catch it. Wait, hang on. Oh, fire, yeah, hammer down. And flag. Okay, slow. Now, range is clear. What that means, all the guns have been cleared, everything is safe. Whoever's not on deck, now you come back up and we start patching. However, we follow the range officer. So I'm just one, I'm gonna go left to right. So if you grab some patches, you can follow. But everybody can come and have a quick look at the first couple to see the scoring that we talked about. Right? 2 in the A, so that's good. I see 2 rounds, 2 rounds, 2 rounds, 2 rounds, clear. Moving on, right? You gotta miss something, Larry, so we can show them.
Okay.
Clays and all the steel is down, so we're good. Go ahead and, yeah, we'll get that set up.
Do you want
Yeah.
them repainted?
No. It's not that kind of a match, but yeah, set everything else up. Good. Okay, so once we're done that, we can come and look at something, maybe a potential miss. I saw that one.
Yep. And that's the only one. Oh, there we go.
All right, so.
Yeah, this actually, I did this on purpose.
See, now I'm pretty nice. I would give them that because it's touching the line. But I'm just like that. Some people spend all day. No, I would give you that.
I wouldn't, but
I know you would, but I would. So because he's only got one and there's the other one, so obviously is one miss. So it's a failure to neutralize. That would give him a 5-second penalty.
to that end, if you're becoming an SO and RO, but and you're doing this, just give it to the person. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I would give it from here. It looks like it broke the perf.
It's close
so
enough.
give it
I'm like that, but others are get out the measuring thing and the little whatever.
Here's where the proof of the pudding.
Okay, so
Here, I got some.
same thing again here, right? I got one round. That's it. Failure to neutralize. Same thing down here. One round. Failure to neutralize.
If this one round was in here,
You'd be good.
okay. Again,
All
I did
right.
it on purpose.
There's good. There's good. There's good. There's good. Okay, well, got another failure to neutralize and another one. Oh, no,
No,
that's
that one's
good. So just the one. See, but that's why you want to follow around because I missed that, right? That's hard to see. But he's following me. He caught it, right? So that's a little hard to see. I would have said, oh, but it's tough to see. So sometimes the RO or safety officer can miss that and call that a failure to neutralize. But hey, I got two. Right, so that's why either the shooter or their designated person can follow around, right?
That one was
Oh,
That's
no, that's a failure to neutralize.
Yeah,
it's only one round. It has to be in this zone.
Yep, but that one's good. That's
got
what
two.
we're saying,
Yeah.
This one here is a failure to neutralize, but there's also that no shoot
No shoot,
we talked
yeah.
about, right? That's another 5-second penalty, and the same down there. So,
Normally you'd use white tape there if you don't have white. There is white tape there. If not, just put a dark.
yeah,
Don't
so that kind of shows you where that limit speed versus accuracy is, right? You go a little too fast, you lose the accuracy. So you gain 3 seconds, but you lost 5.
And you know, the thing I'm getting over for, if anybody shoots AR a lot, is height over bore.
Yeah.
So, you know, height over bore, my red dot is showing here, but I'm actually shooting about here. So I'm trying to aim higher on the target, but you see I'm shooting really low, so I need to come up even more. That's just me. And this is first shoot of 3-gun the entire season. You can see the nervousness, but you add those up.
Doesn't
1,
that go
5,
away
10,
after 2
15,
matches?
Yeah.
You 50 or 100
15,
center.
20, 25. That's 30 extra seconds that I could have taken.
That's
10
what I'm
seconds
saying.
to think
10
about it.
seconds to save 30 is a lot better, right? So make sure you're accurate. Once you're accurate all the time, and you start pushing, and you'll find your limit.
And you can.
What is
you,
the
you
zero
can take
at?
3, 5 shots
I have no
from
idea.
this target. If you don't,
Well, you're
it's
supposed to know
hard. 2,
everything.
2, 3 at this one.
His?
You have
I'm
no
not supposed
idea.
to know
You're
his.
supposed to know everything.
Yeah.
You get good
I-
enough.
mine's
with
100.
pistol and rifle, you start to
It
collect
used to be
shots.
until I can't use it anymore.
Do a couple
Okay.
more rounds.
All right, so that was the first run through. You caught a pretty good idea of where maybe pushing a little too quick, losing some time, where maybe slowing down might have actually made a better score. So he would have gotten 72.12 plus 5, 10, 15, 20, 35 seconds or whatever. He would have 110 seconds as a total time, right? So that's what,
So you shoot something clean at 90 seconds because you took a little bit more time.
it's better than what
better
he,
than pushing it and going 135.
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. Sun coming up and the carts roll in. Ammo cans loaded and the squads check in. Shotgun caddies hanging off the belt. Everybody knows exactly how this feels.
Walk the stage, build the plan, count your rounds before it all begins. One mistake can cost your day, so every move matters before you ever play.
Rifle flagged and pointed high. Pistol holstered at your side.
Shotgun waiting for its turn. 3 different tools and a lot to learn.
Make ready. Are you ready? Stand by.
3 guns, 1 run.
Everything happens under the sun.
Rifle, pistol, shotgun, smoke.
One missed target and the leg gets broke.
3 guns, 1 run.
Man.
3 guns, 1 run.
Move fast but don't come undone.
Every second on the clock. Every hit has got to rock. 3 guns,
Hey.
1 run.
Rifle first in the target stretch, 300 yards across the edge. Wind is pushing left to right. Better read that flag before you light. Magnified glass in a steady hold. Break a shot before the condition folds. Steel rings back and the crowd knows you hit your mark when the long gun goes. Dump box loaded, shell stack high. Bird shot flying through the sky. Steel poppers falling one by one. Nothing in the sport is quite this fun. Low 2, low 4, stuff and go. Keep feeding rounds while you're on the move. Miss a plate and you're losing time. Shotgun stage, just punish every crime. Now the handgun comes alive. Close range targets left and right. Draw smooth and let it run. Fast transitions under the sun. A-zone hits and sights that track. No time now to look back. Push the pace but stay in control. Speed means nothing if you lose the goal.
Shotgun grounded, move and go. Rifle up before momentum slows. Safety on and muzzle right. Every transition has to be tight. Pistol comes out, rifle goes down. Nobody's stopping now. 3 different systems in one stage plan. That's what separates the field from the man.
Heart rate high, but your focus stays. Working through another maze. Stealing paper everywhere.
Only one thing matters there. Not the gearing up the hype, not the optic or the sight. It's what happens when the timer sounds and your training finally comes around.
Ready! Stand by! Shotgun! Rifle! Pistol! Move! Transition! Move!
3 guns, 1 run.
Everything happens under the sun.
Rifle, pistol, shotgun, smoke.
One missed
One run.
One run. One run.
One run.
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. Sun coming up and the cars roll in. Ammo cans loaded and the squads check in. Shotgun caddies hanging off the belt. Everybody knows exactly how this feels.
Walk the stage, build the plan, count your rounds before it all begins. One mistake can cost your day, so every move matters before you ever play.
Rifle flagged and pointed high, pistol holstered at your side.
Shotgun waiting for its turn, 3 different tools and a lot to learn.
Make ready! Are you ready? Stand by! Beep.
3 guns, 1 run.
Everything happens under the sun.
Rifle, pistol, shotgun, smoke.
One missed target and the leg gets broke.
3 guns, 1 run. 3 guns, 1 run.
Move fast but don't come undone.
Every second on the clock, every hit has got to rock. 3 guns,
Hey!
1 run.
Rifle first and the target stretch, 300 yards across the edge. Wind is pushing left to right, better read that flag before you light. Magnified glass in a steady hold, break a shot before the condition folds. Steel rings back and the crowd knows you hit your mark when the long gun goes. Lumped up, box loaded, shell stack high, bird shot flying through the sky. Steel poppers falling one by one, nothing in the sport is quite this fun. Low 2, low 4, stuff and go, keep feeding rounds while you're on the move. Miss a plate and you're losing time. Shotgun stage is punish every crime. Now the handgun comes alive, close range targets left and right. Draw smooth and let it run, fast transitions under the sun. A-zone hits and sights that track, no time now to look back. Push the pace but stay in control, speed means nothing if you lose the goal.
Shotgun grounded, move and go. Rifle up before momentum slows. Safety on and muzzle right. Every transition has to be tight. Pistol comes out, rifle goes down. Nobody's stopping now. 3 different systems in one stage plan. That's what separates the field from the man.
Heart rate high but your focus stays, working through another maze. Stealing paper everywhere.
Only one thing matters there. Not the gear and not the hype, not the optic or the sight. It's what happens when the timer sounds and your training finally comes around.
Make ready! Stand by! Shotgun! Rifle! Pistol! Move! Transition! Move!
3 guns, 1 run.
Everything happens under the sun.
Rifle, pistol, shotgun, smoke.
One missed target and the leg gets broke.
3 guns, 1 run. 3 guns, 1 run. Every stage of battle, when the smoke clears at the end, you can't wait to do it all again. 3 guns, 1 run. 3 guns, 1 run.
One run! One run!
1 run.
Yeah! Let's go! Yeah! Sun coming up and the cars roll in. Ammo cans loaded and the squads check in. Shotgun caddies hanging off the belt. Everybody knows exactly how this feels.
Walk the stage, build the plan, count your rounds before it all begins. One mistake can cost your day, so every move matters before you ever play.
Rifle flagged and pointed high, pistol holstered at your side.
Shotgun waiting for its turn, 3 play.
Rifle flagged and pointed high, pistol holstered at your side.
Shotgun waiting for its turn. 3 different tools and a lot to learn.
Make ready! Are you ready? Stand by! Beep!
3 guns, 1 run.
Everything happens under the sun.
Rifle, pistol, shotgun, smoke.
1 missed target and the leg gets broke.
3 guns, 1 run. 3 guns, 1 run.
Move fast but don't come undone.
Every second on the clock. Every hit has got to rock. 3 guns,
Hey!
1 run.
Rifle first and the target stretch 300 yards across the edge. Wind is pushing left to right. Better read that flag before you light. Magnified glass in a steady hold. Break a shot before the condition folds. Steel rings back and the crowd knows you hit your mark when the long gun goes. Up the box